Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. If you're new, my name is Colleen and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I come to you from Kalama, Washington. So I'm very happy you can join me today. I'm working with the 3D embossing folder from Stampin' Up! And I have to tell you how much I love this folder. It is one of my favorites of the season. I'm trying to bring it up here on my laptop so I can see what I'm doing a little bit. Let's see if it'll come up here for me. So far, no. Anyway, not to worry. We won't worry too much about that. I'm showcasing the in colors today. I really wanted to showcase this. Stampin' Up! Is having a sale now on in colors. 15% off in color products through August 31st. So how fun is that? And look at the size of this embossing folder. This would be great if you were a scrapbooker. I just absolutely love this. And we're going to have the most fun creating this pretty card with it. Let me show you some of my other samples real quick. I made this one using Timid Tiger. This one was Daffodil Delight in black. Now I'm going to show you a sample that kind of inspired me. This came from Kim Quady, and she used the two-tone cardstock, and she sanded off so the white would come through. I don't know if you can see, but anyway, she sent me that card. It's beautiful, and that's just another idea for you. Love that color. And so I just had fun with this one embossing folder. I love an embossing folder that can act as your focal point and that you also can do a little coloring on. So let's have some fun and create this card. I will give you the measurements as I go along, and I will also have them all blogged for you by the end of the day. All right, so for our card base, I used Darling Duckling, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So this is your standard card base. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder and go right down that center, get it nice and crisp. This piece here that we're going to do some embossing with, it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. The inside panel for the card in basic white is the same, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And here's a fun tip. When you're cutting card bases, don't cut just one. Honestly, do not cut just one card base. Really cut like 10, and then they're always ready to go. And you just have them ready. Sometimes I don't even put the card bases in my card when I'm making them because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use for my sentiment on the inside. So just keep them at the ready. And then Secret C, 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. Another piece of basic white, 3 inches by 3 1/2 inches. And then a scrap piece of basic white for our sentiment. So let's go ahead and do a little of this embossing. That's really what we're here for. Let's make a card together. Let me move this out of my way real quick. Then we'll do some coloring with some blending brushes and sponge daubers. You know, I have a little bit of a New York accent still, and every now and then the words just don't come out right. It's like I want the West Coast and East Coast accent together. So let's grab this and let's take our Darling Duckling. So you can see here, I'm going to hold this again so you can see the pattern in this great embossing folder. And I want this a little bit towards the top here. There we go. That looks good right there, I think. You know, I kind of want, just find out where you want it. We're going to be covering up so much of this, I'm not too worried. This embossing folder does not fit in the mini cut and emboss. It is too large. So you'll need the large cut and emboss machine for this one. And then you need plate 1 and plate 4. And I'm going to go ahead and emboss this off camera. Sometimes I will hit the camera with my hand and I don't want to make your motion sick. So just that easy there. And look at the detail on this. Isn't that gorgeous? Like, it's hard for me to cover any of this up. And let's grab that basic white piece. And I really want to get most of this flower in because we're going to be coloring this. So this is really kind of what I want, to get most of that flower in. Let's go ahead and pop this in again, plate 1, plate 4. And on your base plate, it gives you everything that you need. Gives you all the sandwich directions. And again, let's run this through. So, what have you all been doing this summer? I hope you're having fun. I've been doing some gardening. I fractured one of my toes a few weeks ago, and that has slowed me down a little bit, but doing better. So everyone who's asked and followed and asked how I'm doing much better. Thank you. So you can see our sample here, and I'm going to follow pretty much the same design. I'm going to start with this darling duckling. Let me move these things off to my side here. And I'm just going to put my blending brush. You'll find these in the annual catalog. And I'm going to take off, sometimes it comes out with a little blob of ink. So I took that off, and then I'm just going to go around and start a little bit here. I always start with a little bit less ink because it's easier to put ink on than it is to take it off, right? And I'm going to come down here to the bottom where the inside of my sunflower is, just because I'm going to be doing that a little bit of a darker color, but I want to make sure I get those petals of the sunflower done. So you can see the ridges on this are really picking up the color, which I like. It gives a lot of depth and dimension. So I really like how the ridges pick up. This is the de-emboss side, and I've seen some really great videos where people have used this de-emboss side. All right, let's just add a little bit more on there, and we're gonna call that good. Now, let me go ahead and grab the Timid Tiger. You know, let's go ahead and do the leaves first with this Granny Apple Green, because the Timid Tiger is a little bit darker, so if I make a smudge on anything, that'll cover it up. And I'm gonna just, again, kind of start off a little bit and come off to the side where these leaves are. And again, you'll notice that the ridges here really pick up that color. So use as much pressure on that color as you deem fit. And let's come over here to the side, get some of that. I love the green. This Granny Apple Green I think is fabulous. Let's go ahead and bring that in. You can really see it start to pick up the color here. Let's come around the top here. And if you don't have blending brushes or sponge daubers, I think you could watercolor this. I'm gonna try and move this light over a little bit. Maybe you can see better. Sorry, it's that doing this in the late afternoon. We have a shade tree outside the window, so I think it's a little bit shady right now. Anyway, Timid Tiger. Let's go ahead, pop this in here. And this kind of came out heavy last time, so I'm really going to take some off and come over to this corner here and just lightly go where that center is and add some color. Doesn't that look pretty? You can really see it start to pick up the color. It looks a little bit darker on screen than it is in person. And go around the center here. And now that I have some of the ink off, I'm just going to bring it out onto my petals. And let the ridges pick up in the center there out of some of those petals. So just that little bit there really gave a lot. So I like a little bit of a subtle look, so I'm not gonna go overboard with the coloring. I think this for me is good. This part here for me is good. All right, this is Secret C, again, another in color, and we're going to lay this part, we're going to adhere that to this panel. And I'm using liquid glue. because the de-embossed side, this is a little bit of a deeper embossing folder, you can really see, and I want to make sure this panel stays put. It doesn't loosen up. So let's go ahead and pop that down. Let me turn this over. Get that rubbed on there. There we go. Very nice. As you can see, pretty similar. And let's get our front panel on. And I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, a little bit more die cutting, add some bling, and that's just how easily this card comes together. Normally I don't put this much glue on, but I kind of feel like I need to with this. Line this up. Pretty, pretty. Look at the detail on this. Just gorgeous. Okay. That part's gonna go there. Let's do a little bit of stamping real quick. I'm gonna grab our Secret C ink. Let me get that scratch paper back again. Let's go ahead and stamp here. All thumbs today. And I'll show you the stamp set I took this out of in just a second. Let's get that. And then on our inside panel, using that retired stamp, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick tap, and I'm gonna stamp off once because I want a lighter image down here in the corner. So use your retired sets if you have them. Don't let them just sit there collecting dust. Go ahead and grab them out. This is the stamp set I use for the sentiment, the right words. I absolutely love it because you'll note there's some different fonts in here. Some are a little bit more fun, some are a little bit more elegant. I miss you already, thinking of you. So many great sentiments in this, and it's a cling stamp set. So there you go there, and let's get this on the inside, and then we're gonna put this card, do one more die cut, and then we'll put the card together. But while we have this out, let's go ahead and pop this on the inside. So you can see, using this one embossing folder, all the different cards you can make. And I don't know about you, but I love folders and dies and even the stamp sets that you can get like a big bang for your buck out of, that you can really change the design and do some different things that make it fun. And you can be creative with. Okay, for this one, we need plate 1. We need plate 2, one of the plate 3s, and then the other plate 3. And I'm going to use one of the stylish shapes dies to cut this out. And the stylish shapes dies, I have them just tucked over here. Let me grab them. I think these have been around for a while, so you've probably seen them a million times. But honestly, these tend to be my go-to set. You know, you can usually find something that fits one of your sentiments. I love the circles and the squares. It is such a convenient set to have. And like I said, I like something where you can get a lot of bang for your buck. And that set really has worked wonders for me. Okay, let's pop this here. But you know, we all like something a little bit different sometimes, right? So just take a peek and see what works for you. And I'm going to take this off camera and give this a quick die cut over here. Take this back. And then pop my little sticky off. Pop my sentiment out. And let's go ahead and get that off. Okay, now let's assemble the front of our card. So you know what, guys? I missed a little part down here, so I'm going to try and sneak a little color down there without getting it all over. That's good. That's okay. But I just looked down there and saw in the corner, and I thought, oh my goodness, I missed that whole spot. All right, let's get some dimensionals and pop this up, and you'll see how easily this comes together. I'm going to use this part, this long strip here on the side of my dimensionals to take up some floor space there. I like when it takes up some real estate and I don't have to pop all of these little dimensionals out. Okay, let's get these off here. So leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can see my future projects. Center this as, okay, you always have to make sure your card's opening the right way before you prop anything down. I kind of learned that the hard way. Center it as best as you can, just eyeball it. It's handmade. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be, you're just supposed to have fun while you're creating. Let's pop these dimensionals off, and then we're going to add a little bling to this. Very pretty. Pretty, pretty. Okay, now I had my gems out. Now I'm going to show you, because I have the brushed butterfly gems, and I wanted to show you how those looked on one of the cards, because I considered using them on this, but I think I wanted to stick with the way I did the other one. So these brushed brass, my goodness, brushed brass butterflies are fabulous, and I used them on this card around the sunflowers to make them look kind of like they were in flight, and I loved how that turned out. For this one, though, I'm going to go pretty generic, and I'm going to bring in the Timid Tiger, just because I really like that color. And, of course, I really like the Secret Sea, too. Maybe we should stick with the Secret Sea. Let's stick with that one, since that's our panel color. And center it along your cut line there. And then put one on the other side. Try and get around the same distance. And pop that down there. And that is just how quick this card comes together. So, how pretty is that? Who wouldn't love to get this fun card in the mail? And I really kind of think this one can be used for summer this time of the year, or it would actually work for fall. So again, I have this one, that one. So just playing around with different, very similar layouts, right? But just adding different colors and a little bit of different coloring, and ended up with all of these great cards. So this is what I've been working on today. Drop a comment, let me know what you've been working on this week, and I will see you again next week.